in that regard, I'd like to talk about this urban rail system that's being discussed next door in the city council. Number one is it's been hyped, and I've been in many transportation committees recently, and it's amazing the fervor that gets created to hype it as a congestion relief. And the fact is that this $1.4 billion rail will relieve no congestion, and it will increase congestion in the downtown area where it runs. If you think about it, it forms a barrier wall about 4 blocks west of 35 all the way through UT and Central Austin. So every vehicle leaving and entering Austin, coming up south 35, north 35, and from points east, will have to go across that railroad track to get in and out of Austin. Therefore, it will dramatically increase congestion in the Austin downtown area. So the Project Connect folks that came up with this concept is being approved by the City Council today. So I suppose it will be approved. The Project Connection folks have projected that the ridership on this rail in 2030 will be about 18,000 people. Of that 18,000, they suggest that 6,500 trips will be transit riders. In other words, the other 2/3 of the travelers on it will be on existing bus systems traveling into town. Those people will never get on a freeway with or without the rail, because it's a short 4-mile average trip from Riverside into the Austin area, downtown area, or from Highland to the downtown area. So it will not relieve any congestion for those riders that exist today or will exist at that time. Now, to give you a comparison of what that means, overall transit trips in the region, they say 6,500 boardings, which means 3,250 doing round trips on their trip on a daily basis, a weekly, daily basis. In the region at that time, with the current population growth as projected by all the experts in town, we will have in this region 8 million trips a day on Austin roadways. So 6,500 will be infinitesimal and of no impact whatsoever, while at the same time it will increase the congestion I described earlier. And we have today, and we will have then, more than 99% of all trips taken in this region will be on roadways. And so it logically concludes that the way to improve congestion is by improving roadways. Now let me give you a brief comparison. If you take 183A, that corridor, if you take the Bopac expansion, which is being worked on now, will be completed next year, and you take the 290, which was just opened, the improvement of that roadway, those 3 roadways cost approximately the same thing as this rail. In today's dollars, about $1 billion each. Now, those 3 roadways dramatically improve the transportation time and flow for 500,000 people when Bopac is opened. Every day, 500,000 people. Now that's today. In 2030, that number will be 30%, 40%, 50% higher based on our population growth. So, for spending the same amount of money, we're relieving no congestion with the rail, and we're dramatically improving the congestion for 500 to 750,000 people. So I think that gives you a comparison of the value of using our money properly and cost effectively to reduce congestion, which is the #1 issue in the region. Now, the suggestion by the City Council has been, yet to be approved, but has been that they will combine this referendum into a road and rail referendum. And that obviously is to seduce people to vote for the rail that might not otherwise vote for the rail. And the real issue with that situation is not what they've said, but what they haven't said. Is they said behind the scenes and not highlighted that this rail proposal for $1.4 million is the initial investment. It needs dramatic expansion in order to perform the transit required by the region. So if you assume that dramatic expansion on top of the major tax increase that this causes, you would have a continuing major tax increase, growing tax increase over the next 50 years. And that is what's not being said, because the plans for those expansions don't exist. They haven't defined the plan, they haven't defined the schedule, they haven't defined the cost. And we only know that it would be billions to tens of billions of dollars for those additional rails. And the sad fact is those additional rails would have no more impact on congestion than this initial rail. Now, I'm here to suggest to voters that whether that referendum has only the rail on it or has the rail and roads, we badly need the roads, I would reject the referendum if they combine it into a dual referendum, because what they're suggesting doing is giving rail the priority in that referendum when rail is a minuscule priority in dealing with our congestion and our transportation and our economics. Because when those that suggest that congestion is no longer going to be enhanced by rail, they jump to the subject of economics and development, suggesting that rail will enhance development. Well, I'm here to tell you that rail enhances no development. It's been proven in city after city. We've had studies in this city that it does not result in added economic development and added tax base. In fact, the answer is zero-sum game, no addition. So my final comment is reject rail, whether it's combined with roads or whether it is a single referendum, reject rail. Thank you.